actually really gonna test. I did yesterday a couple of changes that I didn't get in the stream because it was just late at night. Basically, I realized I was doing something wrong in terms of how in terms of construct interaction. So what I did is I changed one thing, which was the sort of the ANSYS coin contract is really just an address, right? And then there is a custom function here called set coin contract address, which basically actually I should should I enforce that only I can call this? Yes, probably before I even go test anything, because here in the coin contract I did the same. So basically okay, so deployer, that's how you do that. So deployer sender. So I'll do the same here. So I will actually just say, well, there is basically also a deployer. And so this is so this is basically me saying who is the deployer. So that's set upon construction. And then what we are going to do is we're going to protect these, so only the deployer can actually do that. So require message sender equals deployer. So this way, that only happens like that. And then exactly. The reason I'm doing that is because the whole concept is I deploy the coin contract. Then the coin contract also has a set NFT contract address, which should also be require that the sender equals the deployer. So essentially what this does is sets, so the other way around. I deploy both contracts and I get their addresses and I assign the addresses respectively. And so then they know each other. And by doing that, what I can do is from the NFT contract, I can actually call the contract like that, right? So invoke the contract using the address, create the contract using the address as a, I don't know, whatever this is, a constructor. I don't know what this is really under the hood. That gives me these, and then I can use the min function like that. And then on the coin side, I can also, if I look for the min function, I can also check that the message sender is the NFT contract address, so that nobody else is actually minting that, not even myself, right? Not even the deployer. So this means the only thing that can mint coins is the actual NFT contract. And now we can go and test that. So I'll delete these contracts, remove these contracts, and make sure I reload and everything's fine. And then I'll deploy the coin contract. So okay, I remember the credentials. So confirm that. I'm curious how much this will actually cost in Ethereum. But now everything's going, down so much that maybe I'm lucky, and it actually is cheaper. Because if that works, we're done. So I only need to think maybe a bit carefully about the rewards, and then I can get going. So what I will probably do is I will actually have to build a script that downloads my YouTube videos, and then I can upload them, or I can mint them, right? There's 300 plus videos, 400 plus videos. If it's too expensive, like I'll just have to do that over time, to be honest. Okay, so the ANSYS coin contract is deployed. I'll deploy the NFT contract. And so while this is happening, you can see here that we have the set NFT contract address. So I'm going to put in here the address. And essentially what I want to do is I'm testing these, right? So I'm going to test the Happy Path workflow is basically using the NFT contract. So I am, and this is just the custom functions. I'm just gonna be basically minting. I'm gonna be minting. To be honest, I'm not so sure, like whether I should put the 2 in here. Like, shouldn't I just force the address to be the actual sender? I mean, what is 2 even used to? Yeah, okay, it's to do that. Maybe I should just force this to be the sender. You know what? I think that's gonna be better. I mean, I don't know. I guess the 2 does give you a bit of extra. So the 2 does give you a bit of extra stuff. So it allows you to mint something on behalf of someone else. You know, so in a way it allows you to say, look, I want to mint these, but I want to mint it for this. I want this address to be rewarded, right? So maybe we should leave that open, because essentially the validation the same. You want to validate on behalf of someone else. I don't know why would you want to do that, but anyway. So what are we doing? We are now, so now they're deployed. So now what I should do is, what I want to do is I'm going to copy the address of these, of the NFT contract, go to the coin contract and say, please give it this address, right? And this I'll just do once, right? This I'm just doing now, as in like, and then I go to Ansys coin and I get this, and I go to the NFT and I say set coin contract address. So this way, now the contracts are hooked up with each other. I don't know if this is best practice or not. I just found this somewhere on a YouTube video. Someone was saying that it's the way to do it. Cool. So, yep. And now what? And now I should just be able to go here and say, let's go mint. So let's mint for my address, and let's go and get the CID of this guy, put it in here, and run the whole thing. So this should mean me an NFT for this video. So if I copy this address, I can go and check, get, for example, can I get token by CID? Okay, no. So get token by CID will actually give me the token ID, which is 1, and then I can check. What can I check with these? Nothing really. I can check whether it's validated or not, and it's not validated, right? And okay, so now the cool. So this is the trickiest part, right? So that's probably what's going to break. So now what I need to test, we're now testing the process of validating. So I want the system to give me a validation ID. So what is this going to do? This is going to basically get me the ID to validate, which is get this +1, whatever, and then validate, and then it will return me these, right? This is kind of the function. This is the stuff that I have to test well. I'm assuming it's going to break somewhere here. So I want this to give me a validation ID. Wait a second. No, yeah, this gives me a token to validate, a token ID to validate, and then what I do is I increment the validation ID because I want to mask that stuff, right? So I'm not going to give the person the token ID. I'm going to give the person sort of the end user a validation ID, and this validation ID, yeah, well, and I have to give the person as well the CID, right? Because I need a person to be able to go and get that token. So get that CID. Cool. to be honest, I think that I don't want that, because I don't want that function to be, I don't want people to expose the token IDs. Token IDs are secreto. Okay. So I mean, they're gonna help me test for now, so I'll just remove common as is for testing purposes. The same with get validations. I mean, no, it's fine. The thing is, you can't validate with a token ID, so it doesn't harm to know the token IDs, to be honest. Anyway, so but that's what's gonna probably happen. So that's gonna break somewhere here. Now we're gonna get a validation ID. So at the end, I want this last validation ID. So let's see. If I hit here, get validation ID, boom, blah, 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 message. All tokens have been validated. Cool, so that's not working. Why? So the last validation token ID is initialized probably with 0. So what happens? I is 2 is 1, so 0 plus 1 is 1, j is 1. So then it goes and checks, okay, validations 1 must be, oh, okay, so validations 1 must be, no, while validations 1, I see. So while the validations, this is kind of like it's just checking, right? So if in the case that validations of these, you know, so we don't even get in here because the validations are already 0. But then this is not correct. So I think that's just wrong. What am I doing here? So I'm doing, this is definitely too messy. So J. Because I'm using the J. Well, what I should check is, I should check these. So if the last one, if I shouldn't check that, I should check that. That we've gone through all the way through the last validation token ID, which in this case is going to be 0, right? But then I is 0, J is 0. No, I will be 1, J is 0, so this is going to be okay. So we're going to give this 1. I think that should work. Now, I think I can just redeploy the NFT contract, to be honest. I think I can just go and say, NFT contract, go away, redeploy the NFT contract, and then I have to just set the addresses again correctly. I can still do that. So, you know what's the only thing that's scary about this is, like, once you've deployed the contracts, and people have started using them, then you're just screwed up, right? Because you can't, if you discover a bug, then you just can't really do anything about it. Cool. So we'll get the address and set the address here. Then get this address and set the address here. It's pretty tedious to test, but what can I tell you? Get validation ID, run, boom. Is there a way? Stack message code 3. So how did the back solidity? So how? Call stack using events, block explorer. That's gonna be block by block simulator and debugger. Unknown. Okay. Stack, gas, whatever, require, complicated stuff. Complicated stuff, edit player, players, push. Because here they, at the transaction level, they do stuff to check the state of the thing. And I'm just like, can I not just, for example, solidity, can I concatenate with like, I mean, this should just not be the case because, to be honest, I think I can test that without redeploying all the contracts, so that's going to help me a little bit. But I can't. Can I just concatenate that like this and say I and say I don't know if I can concatenate like this or with dots or something like that. So solidity. Append UN to string. Oh, fuck off. Ah. Solidity. Lock values and sometimes we have the C string rotations. Something simpler. Emitting events. You emit events and then what? It's too complicated. Can I just, you know, can I just do like it's gonna break. String, okay, no. Going to string casting. It's all expensive. I mean, I don't know if this is expensive. I just don't feel like doing all this stuff. Although I should probably do something if I want to properly debug this. Because let's make sure, first of all, that we're getting the right message, right? So this is this. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? unused local variable. J. Yay. So this is the NFT contract, right? So let me just get this done. Let's just remove the NFT contract, redeploy the NFT contract, and we'll see what we get. Got 10 more minutes. It takes the last validation ID +1, and then, you know, this is definitely false, and so it breaks, and then it checks, is this, you know, it's got to be different, which it is because we've incremented it by 1. Okay, so now we have this, and now I get validation ID. Okay, now it works. How do I know the output though? Huh? Transaction hash. What do I do with these? Should return something, right? Why isn't it returning anything? So you know, other functions like returns, so get validation ID, no validate, public view returns, maybe, yeah, but that's not view, right? It's public returns, virtual. Why virtual? What is the virtual modifier doing? What is virtual doing? If you do not want a function to be overridden, leave off the virtual marker. I think we can drop this. Sure, but doesn't give me, it gives me a transaction hash, and I want to know an actual output out of these. Okay, but maybe there's something wrong here. So I see. Token ID. Return last validation ID. So this is, you know, it doesn't seem like anything is breaking, but I don't see any output. Public returns. I don't know what to do. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I should test now. What if I just comment that and redeploy token ID? I mean, whatever. Let's just test that stupidly. Can I deploy another NFT contract? Can I just like deploy the contract twice? What's gonna happen if I do that? It's just gonna add it to the top. I guess it's a different address, right? So why not? Why not? Yeah, okay. So get validation ID. Come on. Transaction hash. And what do I do with these? Is it transaction hash? Okay, token ID by. What if I just, okay, so what if I just call this view? Maybe for some reason that is what I don't know if this is a UI problem in this case, where it's like for view functions. You know what I mean? I can delete these, and I can delete these, and I can delete. Oh. Modifies the state. I'll just return 5. I don't know. Whatever. Delete, 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 delete. Something wrong, or get validation ID, public view returns. Can be restricted to pure. Maybe let's just do something like this. Assign data value. Is it that it's forcing me to do something because it's just returning the same thing all the time, or what? Can be set to pure. Should I just do this? As view. Ah, okay. Okay. So view, okay, so let's deploy the contract. But that's weird, right? I'd love ideally to see what's going on, why I couldn't see these. Get validation ID. And now I get a fucking 5. If I don't do these, and let's say, yeah, it does this, right? Like, why is it that I can't? Why is it that something like that doesn't just work? I can actually just deploy it here. Let's see. Okay, maybe it'll save me a bit of time. So deploy the contract. Let me close these here. So I hope it's not because of view. You know, like and that I can't see that, and I just can't see a transaction ID. So maybe, so Solidity, let's see, output if is view or something like that, like. Pure functions. Payable, non-payable, payable function. Y is so return read and write values and Solidity or something like I maybe this is just a, that's what I'm afraid this is a this is just an interface issue here, that it's like gives me a transaction hash. And what do I do with these? If I could, so replit web3 replit Solidity write function returns transaction hash. That's gonna be impossible to, unless this is really something in here. So compile to JS output. Is there anything that, like, where even I would find this stuff? Watcher, this is the compilation, this is the tab, this is the stuff here. How do I UI? So that's the UI. Is there anything that I'm like, I'm afraid it's somewhere in here, right? That basically decides what to show me. Anyway, I will be back next time. I have to go.